You're listening to the Computer Repair Academy podcast, a show that's your go-to podcast for easy tech fixes, pro tricks, computer repair tips, and everything you need to keep your computer running smoothly. So if you're ready to upgrade your tech game, then let's dive in.
Hello, tech fans, and welcome back to the Computer Repair Academy podcast. I'm Jeremy, your friendly tech guru, and today we're diving into a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and probably to yours too, if you've ever screamed at your PC. Yes, folks, today we're talking about PC troubleshooting. Now, we've all been there. You sit down at your computer ready to start the day, and suddenly it refuses to cooperate. Maybe it's slower than a snail on vacation, or worse, it won't even turn on. That's when you go into full-on panic mode and start randomly clicking things, hoping for a miracle. But fear not. Today, we're going to walk through how to troubleshoot your PC logically, share some of the funniest PC troubleshooting fails I've seen, and of course, I'll give you the best practices to keep your computer running smoothly. Because let's face it, half the battle with tech problems is keeping your cool while you figure out what's wrong. Stay calm, breathe, and maybe unplug it. All right, let's get into it. First things first, when your PC starts acting up, the key to fixing it is to troubleshoot logically. I know, easier said than done when your screen just froze in the middle of an online shopping spree or a Netflix binge. But trust me, panicking and pressing a bunch of buttons will only make things worse. Control-Alt-Delete. Maybe if I press it harder, it'll fix everything. So, here's the deal. Computers, believe it or not, are logical machines. If something's going wrong, there's usually a logical reason behind it. Your job is to track down the problem like a detective at a crime scene. And like any good detective, you need to follow the clues. Elementary, my dear Watson. Or should I say, elementary, my dear Windows. Okay, one of the first steps in troubleshooting is to figure out exactly what's wrong. Is your PC not turning on at all? Is it running slow? Is it making weird noises, like it's auditioning for a horror movie? Knowing what the problem is will help you narrow down the possible causes. Take a minute to note down any error messages or weird symptoms you've noticed. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later when you're not trying to remember if your PC was beeping or buzzing while Googling the issue at 2 a.m. Once you've identified the problem, it's time to break it down into smaller parts. A slow computer could be caused by software issues, hardware issues, or even something as simple as having too many tabs open. Seriously, some of you have like 47 tabs running. Don't deny it. So ask yourself some questions. Is the whole PC slow or just one program? Does the problem happen all the time or only occasionally? Did you install anything new recently, like new software or a secondhand video card you got from a friend? All right, now here's a big one. Always check the obvious stuff first. You'd be surprised how many people skip this step and dive straight into panic mode. Why isn't my computer turning on? Could it be a motherboard issue? Maybe the hard drive failed. Quick, Google how to fix a bricked PC. Meanwhile, the computer's not even plugged in. Seriously, folks, it happens more than you'd think. Now, before you go full CSI, computer scene investigation, remember to check the basics. Is the computer plugged in? Is the monitor turned on? Is the internet cable connected? Is the mute button on? Is the power strip turned on? 9 times out of 10, it's something simple like that. And when it is, you can save yourself a lot of stress by just taking a minute to double check. Next up, you want to isolate the issue. This means figuring out whether the problem is hardware related or software related. Think of it like this. If your computer were a car, is the engine failing, or is it just that you forgot to fill the gas tank? If you're getting error messages, you might have a software problem, maybe a corrupted file or a program that's misbehaving. If the computer won't start, makes strange noises, or smells like burning, and if it smells like burning, seriously, stop what you're doing. You might have a hardware issue. This burning smell isn't normal. Better check WebMD for PCs. Finally, let's not forget your double secret weapon, Google. I'll admit I've used Google to research issues many times in the past. Odds are, if something weird is happening to your computer, it's already happened to someone else, and the solution is floating out there somewhere on the internet. Hey Google, how do I fix this thing? And voila, answers from tech forums, Reddit, or that one YouTuber who seems to know everything. Don't be afraid to search. Just make sure you're following advice from reliable sources and not that guy who claims fixing your computer requires a hammer and a just hit it really hard mentality. Now that we've talked about the logical way to troubleshoot, let me share a few of my favorite PC troubleshooting fails from the wild. Trust me, these are all real and they're hilarious. First up, The classic "my monitor isn't working" fail. I had a client once who called me because their monitor had gone black and nothing was coming up. They could hear the computer fans running, but nothing on the screen. They swore they checked all of the cable connections, etc. So I show up, ready to troubleshoot what I thought might be a fried graphics card or maybe a power issue. But nope. Turns out they hadn't turned the monitor on. Yeah, that's right. It was off the entire time. I pressed the power button and boom, there's their desktop. Their face when they realized it was priceless. Next up, I had a client who was convinced their hard drive was failing because their computer kept freezing. They were ready to drop some serious cash on a new computer and were already shopping for a replacement online. Turns out they had about 85 browser tabs open, all set to reopen automatically on startup, running 5 different YouTube videos at the same time and 47 useless apps running in the background. We found handfuls of programs starting up on boot as well. Their poor computer was just begging for mercy. Once we closed all the tabs and tweaked some settings, guess what? It ran perfectly fine. The moral of the story? Sometimes less is more when it comes to tabs. Here's a personal favorite. Someone brought in their computer because the keyboard wasn't working. They claimed to have rebooted, applied updates, and checked drivers. They even went wild and tried to reinstall Windows. And after all that, I took a quick look at the back of the keyboard and saw the problem. The batteries in the wireless keyboard were installed backward. No wonder it wasn't typing. So if you have a wireless keyboard or mouse, always check or swap the batteries first if you're seeing issues. To this day, I still don't know how that happened, but at least it gave me a good laugh, and them too, once they got over the embarrassment. All right, now that we've had our laughs, let's talk about the best practices for PC troubleshooting. These tips will save you time, frustration, and maybe a few bucks by helping you fix problems yourself before you need to call in the pros. First off, make sure your operating system and software are up to date. I know those update notifications can be annoying. Windows needs to restart in 10 minutes, but they're there for a reason. Updates often fix bugs, patch security vulnerabilities, and improve performance. Yes, it's inconvenient, but trust me, it's better than dealing with a virus that sneaks in through an outdated system. Next, a little regular maintenance goes a long way. Run disk cleanups, uninstall programs you don't use, and defragment your hard drive every so often if you're still using a traditional HDD. If you've got an SSD, don't worry about defragmenting, but keep things tidy by cleaning out those old files. So basically, a little spring cleaning, but for your PC. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Back up your data. You never know when a small problem might turn into a big one, and nothing is worse than losing your important files because you didn't have a backup. External hard drives, cloud storage, thumb drives, just do it. Do it for future you. They'll thank you. Also, make sure you're running a good antivirus program to keep malware and viruses from causing trouble. And no, that expired trial of Super Antivirus 3000 from 2012 is not cutting it anymore. Get something up to date and make sure it runs regularly, because the last thing you need is a virus named Fuzzy Bunny crashing your system. And finally, I'm all for DIY computer repair, but do know when to call in the professionals. If your computer is making weird noises you can't locate, it's randomly shutting down, or even acting possessed, don't beat it with a hammer. Call someone who knows what they're doing before you turn a $100 fix into a $500 repair job. All right, folks, that's it for today's episode on PC troubleshooting. Remember, the key to troubleshooting is to stay calm, be logical, and always check the basics first. And if all else fails, try turning it off and on again. You'd be surprised how often that works. Seriously, it works more often than I'd like to admit. Thank you again for tuning in to the Computer Repair Academy podcast. If you're dealing with a tech issue you can't figure out, or if you just want to share a funny troubleshooting story, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help and to laugh with you when it turns out the problem was the power cord all along. Until next time, keep calm, troubleshoot smart, and for the love of all things tech, don't panic and grab that hammer. This is Jeremy, signing off. Catch you later.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Computer Repair Academy podcast. Until next time, keep those PCs running smoothly.